the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 226 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Bexon. I'm not too sure whether you're getting tired of hearing that introduction there, but I should probably mix it up at some point, but hopefully that you're not. Today, we're going to be talking with Darren Enns. He's the owner of Eco Builders Costa Rica. We'll be talking about everything in construction, and especially in the areas of Dominicao, Uvita, and Dominicao. We seem to have a lot of, I would say, new kind of eco developers, builders in that area of Costa Rica. It's seen a boom over the last couple of years and seems like it's continuing pretty strong on that one. So we're going to be chatting with Darren basically about building in that area and kind of his experience. Remember, guys, if you're looking to make an investment in Costa Rica, we have numerous vehicles that you can invest in as well if you'd like to chat with us, or if you'd like our kind of guidance on getting the best returns as well. I mean, typically when people are investing into Costa Rica, they're also looking at cash flowing something once they buy it. And that's really where we have data and just a unique advantage over, I would say, anybody else in the country, because we have all of the tourism cash flow data, as well as having the vacation rental data of every single vacation rental in Costa Rica. So you can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com, or just go to our website, investingcostarica.com. You can organize a time to chat with the team there, or just send in an inquiry, or just have a read around the website, basically. But more than happy to help anyone. We're a sucker for helping people. So again, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us, no obligation. But let's get straight into the podcast. Good afternoon, Darren. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing very well. How's yourself?
Yeah, good, man. I'm waiting for this rain to stop here. So, it's causing havoc all over the country, especially on the Pacific side. But hey, we're in Costa Rica. It could be worse.
It could be. It could be Seattle.
Very true. Very true. Or London. So yeah. Well, Darren, I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the podcast. My first question that I love to ask everyone is just kind of, with the recent political kind of movements in the US that also are going to probably impact worldwide. I mean, what are you seeing happening here in Costa Rica? And in particular, like, how has that impacted your workload?
I have noticed a definite uptick in inquiries, both for people, I think, potentially looking for property, maybe now considering building, whereas they maybe weren't doing that before. So I've noticed and I had a couple of clients who were kind of on the fence and they were waiting for the election. Now that the election is finished, they have decided to go ahead. So it's been a positive result for me.
Yeah, I'm seeing exactly the same thing, to be honest with you. It was kind of people that were on the fence are now, willing to pull the trigger. My question, actually a question here that just came up there is, when people are looking to buy versus build, I mean, what usually is that decision-making process there, Darren? I mean, what is your preference?
Well, my experience when I talk to people is a lot of people, I think, are very afraid to buy something because they're very concerned about quality. They've all heard these epic stories of things that go wrong, things that don't work properly. And I think a lot of people, when they come here, they've had an opportunity to stay in a lot of different rental places before they make the decision to, migrate or buy property here in Costa Rica. And they see all the things that they don't like.
Yep.
I think it's probably a good way to put it, which results in what can we do differently and how can we build something that I'm going to feel more safe and comfortable in?
Yeah.
So I know for a lot of people that I work with and that I talk with, the number one issue that seems to be primary is quality. And I don't want to get into the what's, ifs, and whys, but one of the things that I see, definitely, because I've been in North American construction for my entire career, we have a lot of checks and balances. We have probably an incredibly over-regulated system in North America, and I imagine the same in the UK. Whereas here we don't have any regulation and there is no oversight.
Yeah.
So we've gone from one extreme to the other. Whereas when I buy a house in the United States, Canada, or the UK, I'm guaranteed to get a certain quality of home.
Yep.
It's going to meet criteria. It's going to pass building codes, it's going to pass legislation. I know that I have a comfortable home that is safe for me and my family. And because of the lack of regulation in Costa Rica, I think a lot of people are concerned about whether or not they're going to get a quality, safe home for them and their family.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree as well. It's this country is trust but verify everything. Darren, we do a lot of project management. We got about 30 projects through Costa Rica, and all we're doing is watching architects in the design process, making sure they're not doing crazy stuff to spend clients' money, making sure that the construction docs are correct, again, not going, over engineering. I mean, we just saved a client $150,000 by redoing his infrastructure engineering, there are a lot of retaining walls, etc. But we saved him 150 grand because, yeah, anyway. But I think it's a trust but verify, country for sure, because as you said, there is no regulation and it's buyer beware.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good motto to live by, right? Yep. Trust and verify. For my clients, a lot of them, I'm familiar with the building codes in California and Southern California, and also in British Columbia of Canada. So I tend to incorporate that into a lot of the construction that I do. One, I'm familiar with it, and B, I know that it meets seismic requirements for the Pacific Northwest, which we happen to be in a seismic zone here in Costa Rica.
Yeah. I mean, what has been your experience with building in Costa Rica so far, Darren?
My experience has been that there are an incredible amount of hardworking people here in this country. Unfortunately, they're uneducated and unskilled. They're doing things that, I hate to say this, but, my grandfather showed me how to tie rebar 25,000 years ago. Okay, maybe not quite that long ago, but this is the degree of education. Okay. When we start talking about double-walled mats of rebar that have to be reinforced on an 800 millimeter square grid that need to be tied with a loop shoe tie, they look at you and go, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
So, and there's also an element of pride. They're very proud people. They're very hardworking people. But once you can work through that and make a connection with them, most of the people that I have working for me are willing to learn and accept the fact that, it's not really me trying to tell them. I try to offload it and say, look, this is just a standard that's used in North America. It's not me telling you, we're working to this standard. So that's kind of the approach I take.
Cool. I mean, you use the word eco builder. I mean, that's kind of probably a word that's thrown around a lot. Eco, people would use greenwashing kind of stuff, etc. But I mean, how are your builds different, Darren?
Okay. And I agree with you. And I think one of the things that I have a real hard time with is the fact that I think there are a lot of people saying, well, we're building sustainability. We put a solar panel on your roof.
Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to reduce, let's be honest. The construction industry as a whole is responsible for probably anywhere between 35 and 40% of the total carbon footprint of the planet. So my goal is to build quality buildings and reduce the amount of carbon footprint or carbon construction.
Yep.
I incorporate a multitude of systems into every home that I build. So I'm putting biospheric concrete into my slabs. And if you or your listeners are not particularly familiar with what that is, it's basically I'm creating voided concrete. Okay. But I'm using plastic sphere balls in order to do this. I double the mat of my steel. I use these plastic balls to take up a void inside the concrete, which now reduces my concrete by about 30 to 40%. I use a higher strength concrete. So I would go with a 28 MPa or a 32 MPa concrete. I've reduced the volume of concrete and I still have a structurally sound floor.
Yep.
I'm importing hemp block actually out of Canada because I can't get engineered hemp block here in Costa Rica, which is sad. So it's more than just a solar system. It's more than doing direct drives. It's also water recovery systems. I make sure that I have water recovery systems in every one of the houses that I do. And if you've been here for any period of time, people will suffer the effects of the infrastructure, which is not, it's good, it's just not reliable.
Yep.
So I have usually a 1,500 liter potable water tank that I am constantly feeding water through. So in case their water supply system breaks down in their property, they have potable water, okay, that's directed mostly to sinks and those facilities. I use rainwater harvesting in almost all of my projects, and I use the rainwater for feeding the toilet or septic system within the house, which in and of itself is giving me a 30% reduction in potable water usage. So I'm not greenwashing or talking the talk. I won't do a building for a client unless they're willing to incorporate these systems into their home.
Good for you, buddy. And I think we need more builders incorporating that stuff into their projects in Costa Rica.
Well, the reality is it does not cost us a lot of money to do it.
Yep.
Okay. There are ways. One of the projects that I'm working on right now is the no foundation house. So the house that we're building was conventionally designed, but rather than having a concrete foundation and a concrete slab floor, we decided to elevate the building approximately 2 feet off the ground. It's sitting on concrete piers that are sitting on footings.
Yep.
And the entire thing is a steel deck with a solid teak floor. I don't have to worry about any flooding issues. I don't have to worry about anything really. And I've reduced the concrete in this building by 85%.
Well, and again, concrete is not cheap either.
It's not cheap. And you talk about cost savings, concrete and concrete block, probably excellent building materials. We've been using them for 75 years? I don't know, 100 years. They're excellent products. However, they are extremely expensive. They're extremely labor intensive, and they are environmentally destructive. And hempcrete can provide us with the same strength and the same system, and yet it's regenerative, right? I mean, I can grow a hemp block building in 4 months, in terms of the fiber that I need in order to do it.
Yeah.
We need to be using more of those materials. Even in North America, I did a lot of work with bamboo flooring and bamboo cabinets.
And it looks beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful.
Well, you can stain it light or dark. So you can get these variations of color. It has an extremely nice aesthetic. The thing I like about it is being, from a history of carpentry, I lay a bamboo floor. I can refinish that floor 5 years from now.
Yep.
I can go in, I can sand it, refinish it, and it's brand new again. I can't do that with laminate.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned bamboo, Darren, because I have a property in Mount Antonio that has so much bamboo that I've got to cut most of it down because it's kind of getting too close to the electrical wires here. So anyone listening that needs bamboo, let me know because I've got a lot of it. And it's tall. It must be 30, 40 meters tall, man. I mean, it's really tall.
Well, I will be giving you a call because I'm in the process of designing an entire bamboo, we call it the clamshell.
Yep.
It's a clamshell shaped sort of structure, and we're doing the entire thing out of bamboo.
Wow.
It's going to be a concrete slab floor. It's got red iron or steel structure because it's about 2.5 stories in height.
Yep.
That are going to come up, and then the rest of the entire structure is going to be clad in bamboo and bamboo columns. So I'm sure that my client will love to take whatever you have.
And if you cut it down, it's yours for free, man. There's a lot of it, so it's all
You
yours.
know, he's got a couple of Ticos that he has working for him, and
Yep,
they need something to do.
there you go. Well, I think I just solved my bamboo problem. But well, Darren, I mean, you'd mentioned there, when to build and kind of trust but verify. But like, when most people think of building in Costa Rica, they think of a nightmare. I mean, how do people make sure that they don't lose their shirt? And how do they keep a build on budget? Because it's, you hear these nightmare stories constantly.
I I mean, I really was quite surprised at how, for lack of expression, I'm going to say loosey-goosey everything was when I got here.
Yep.
I used to build institutional buildings in North America. These are $100 million projects. They have a multitude of different owners. I have to have a high level of accountability and financial, where's the money going?
Yep.
So I don't know how other guys are doing it. I know for myself, I want to make sure that I have a definitive plan. And once I've got that plan in place, I'm talking finishes. I want specifications for fixtures. I do quantity takeoffs. I know exactly how many pieces of tile are going into the swimming pool. I know exactly how much earth is getting moved out of the excavation.
Yep.
Not everybody here probably has the ability to do quantity surveys. I used to be a quantity surveyor. I was an estimator. And because that's my background, that's the system I use. And my cost estimates are derived only from the 16 basic divisions of construction. Okay, I'm not using all 50. I think that would just confuse people. Most of those are designed for institutional buildings anyway. But the basic 16 divisions of work, I want to have budgets and numbers for every single one of those. I cost track against those budget numbers. We know every day if we're on track and we're over budget or under budget. And all I can say to people is work with a contractor, whoever that is, but they need to be able to tell you what things cost.
Yep.
If they can't tell you what it costs for an extra light fixture in your bedroom, find a different contractor.
Yep. I mean, we had one the other day, Darren, where someone contacted us in a development where the architect was going to design, do everything and build a house for 1.2 million. It was a 4-bedroom house. That was all he had. It was a 4-bedroom home, with nice finishes was it. And it said $1.2 million. And that was it. And I was like, dude, you can't there's no way you can sign that doc. I mean, in the end, he ended up hiring us. And I'm sure that I'm going to drive the architect, nuts. And then my team will do, we'll review all construction docs and we will do all of the, bidding and then the analysis after and value engineering and then oversee it because, there's just too many people, Darren, unfortunately, getting screwed in Costa Rica.
They are. And I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't come down here to build.
Yep.
Okay. I had this great idea that I was done with the construction industry. I was going to come down here. I was going to rent out a couple of cabinas.
Yep.
And try to learn how to surf. I've heard too many stories and I've seen too many people have their dreams destroyed by a system where people just don't know. And if I can do anything, or part of what I need to do is I want to help and educate people as to what they need to have, the information they need to know.
Yep.
Right. And I think it's a hard concept for some people, but I said, look, I'm not going to start building your house until I know the wall paint color.
Yep.
I know the tiles. And I also want to see that all your light fixtures have been ordered.
Yep. It's crazy, man. But again, I think, look, it's getting better little by little. I think it just goes back to trust but verify, as we continue to say. I mean, Darren, talking about the southern zone, I mean, how does it differ from other parts of the country in your experience and opinion when it comes to building?
I think the big thing is, trying to get away from budgets and specifications and that sort of thing. My biggest difference, and I've built up in Atenas as well, is because we have so much humidity down here. We're sitting in the ocean. A lot of people fail to recognize the climate difference that we have throughout the country. I mean,
Yep.
if you're up in, you're in Atanas or you're in Escazú, you're dealing with a completely different climate than you are when you're down here in the southern zone. Humidity is a huge problem. And because of that, we need to use products that are much more appropriate to that. One of the things that I absolutely refuse to build with is any gypsum-based product. How it's even actually allowed in this part of the country is beyond me. Yeah. So that I would say is the biggest challenge that I see down here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys get a lot of rainfall as well, right? So, I mean, drainage, overhangs, water runoffs. I mean, you
Oh,
really, yeah, you guys get more water than like most areas of the country.
yeah, yes. And if I had known this when I moved here,
Yep.
probably wouldn't be living in the southern zone. I tried to escape Seattle for a reason.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, but it's beautiful, man. I mean, in the summertime, it's beautiful, but even, I
oh,
mean, it's beautiful mornings. It's just, there are times of the year where you just kind of want to get out.
yeah. October, November, one should be in Arizona.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm not, but yes. And another thing, I'm glad that you brought that up because one of the things that I do that maybe be different, I usually have as a minimum, I have anywhere from 5 to 6 feet of an overhang on all
Yep.
of my houses.
Yep.
I also am putting perimeter drainage in, which haven't seen in a lot of places. And I know a lot of the guys, when they're working for me, they're like, I don't understand why we're doing this. Well, I know, but trust me,
It's
there's
like, it's one of those things that you only really understand why you've done it when there's huge downpours and water is running all over. Yeah.
right. And you see people who don't have it around their house, and all of a sudden it's like the water is, 8 inches up this back wall of
Yep.
their house.
Yep.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I make sure that my houses don't have that problem.
What areas of Costa Rica, Darren, would you be investing in for the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I can tell you where I am investing. Most of the projects that we're doing, most of the development that we're looking at doing is down here in this southern zone. So I mean, we're kind of like Jaco south down to Panama.
Yep.
That tends to be our area of focus. And we do have a few projects that we're building as development that are down here as well. People come here because they want the nature. They want the nature, they want the ocean, they want what the southern zone has to offer, I think. And whether you're coming down here and building a vacation rental, or you're coming down here to live part-time throughout the year.
Yep. Well, kind of brings me into my next question for you, which is my last one. And I know that a lot of people that listen to this find it as their favorite question. But if you inherited $500,000, so you've got $500,000 only, and you had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why, Darren?
What I would be building myself a vacation rental, particularly down here. And, I know a lot of people would say that, why would you do that? The market is completely saturated with vacation rentals. Yes, they are. And I'm going to sort of draw from a couple of clients that I have who are here from London, your neck of the woods, Notting Hill, actually, which I
Okay.
have no idea where that is,
In
but
London. Nice area.
somewhere in London.
Yep.
And they were amazed at how hard it was for them to find what they considered to be a quality vacation rental. Hundreds and hundreds available. And I asked them, I said, well, Claire, what do you mean by that? She goes, it doesn't have what we need. None of them seem to be set up to a standard or to a way, and I guess which people from North America and maybe Europe are wanting. And she said it was very, very hard for them to find what they needed. She would go into the kitchen and there wouldn't be enough place settings for 2 people.
Yeah.
Or there wasn't enough bedding, or there wasn't air conditioning, or there was so many things that were missing. And I think that it's not that there isn't a huge amount of vacation rentals, but there's a very small amount of well-priced, well-equipped, and well-appointed vacation rentals.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, we look at vacation rental data all the time. And when you start looking at it, the best performing ones are the ones that, do have all of that stuff. But the majority of them are, just not that great. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And she was very, very frustrated by that.
Yep.
And it's been a few years for me. I don't remember the last time I stayed in an Airbnb. But I do remember when I came down here on vacation pre-COVID, did a lot of Airbnb-ing. At this point, I tend to stay in places like South Beach in Hocko.
Yep.
I need a little more amenities.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Darren, this has been an absolute pleasure here having you on the podcast. So I appreciate you taking the time and kind of sharing your experience and knowledge with us. And anyone that wants to get in contact with you, I'll put all your contact details down in the description. But thanks very much for joining us.
No, and I appreciate talking to you as well and taking time out of your day. And we'll be in touch again soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good, Darren. Good podcast there with Darren. And I think you can tell when talking to someone, especially that's in construction, when sustainability is kind of part of their, I would say, part of their value set. And you can definitely see it there. I think we're starting to see a little bit of I would say, revolution and evolution in construction here in Costa Rica, which is great. And just kind of taking a look at the carbon footprint, how much carbon it traps, and how to do it more efficient as well. Because sometimes, again, building sustainably here can be more efficient as well, as we're in that business and completely understand it. So, concrete is not cheap, it's not expensive, and also it's very harmful for the environment. But it does last a long time. So, there are pros and cons between everything. But I hope you enjoyed that conversation there that we had with Darren. If you're enjoying the podcast, guys, please remember to subscribe, like it as well, give us a 5-star rating, give us a review. We love to hear back from you guys. You can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. If you're looking to make any investments in Costa Rica, we have a variety of different vehicles available for investment. You can chat with us about them. No obligation, guys. If we don't think it's right for you, we'll let you know and we'll kind of point you in the right direction or put you in contact with someone that can help you. As I always say, we're a sucker for helping people. So just email us info@investingcostarica.com. All of the contact details are in the description down below. But very much appreciate everyone's time and hope you have a great day. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.